Justice Bill Nelson is attending Hayes Sullivan's funeral at 2 o'clock today. He called me last night and told me he wouldn't be able to be here. Then Neil Burge, Burge emailed me just a while ago, and he had major mouth surgery yesterday in Jonesboro. Said he's all swelled up and taking pain pills, and said it'd be a couple, 3 days before he'd be out and about. So it was too late to cancel and move today's meeting, and I thought, well, you know, should be enough of us all here. If we got questions, we can ask Kelly, and we've got a regular Finance Committee meeting next Monday anyway to move it on to the full court for the November meeting. Kelly sent us all out a big batch of emails yesterday, but then she summarized it towards the end with a major expenditure list and then major revenue list summary, and then today, courtesy of Miss Peggy, our financial, she sent us a fund balance sheet, which kind of works hand in hand with the budget process. Hi, Peggy. You gonna sit over there? You can sit anywhere you want to. I just.
Come sit beside me, Peggy.
You look awful.
Yeah, I was just saying Neil and Bill aren't gonna be able to make it for different reasons today. And then Justice Ash just texted me a few minutes ago. He's not coming. He's not on the committee, but he at least let us know he wasn't coming. As Justice Epler noted, he's usually here. Our county general is down $627,000. The lowest it's been in quite some time.
Yeah, it is. Do you know why?
Why?
Because, mostly because of the payment for the camera system, the jail. They did not have any money, so we had to.
Had to do a major transfer over to the jail.
But there's a little light at the end of that tunnel because we are putting in taxes this week. And so we will be transferring a little over $1 million into county general this week from the tax collection.
Over $1 million this week, maybe? Nice. So it'll put us back up where we kind of been here. How much did we have to transfer over to the jail? Just rough.
It was over 300,000.
The camera system was gonna be right a little bit over 300.
Yeah, it was over 300.
It was just a hair over 300.
Yeah, and they didn't have any money.
And so we'll probably still have to do some more before the year's out on that then, huh?
Yeah.
What about the money from Osceola, the pilot money? Did you ever get it?
We did. We
Both
got
of them?
Plum Point.
Got the double payment?
Yes.
Is that reflected in these balances?
Yes.
So it's already been deposited and distributed and...
In fact, last week, for the whole week, we received like $18 million last week.
Wow, really?
They don't see it, Joe.
From tax collections and the pilot money.
Nice.
So it was a good week.
Now, I just wish it reflected better balances.
Yeah.
And it will, once we get that million in
Once we do
there.
the tax distributions this week, it will reflect that, so.
And
But the pilot money is included in there.
Yeah.
We did get that last week.
now this tax money that you're gonna put in, this roughly $1 million, let's say, that you'll
That's
put
just
in.
county general's portion.
Right. That is not the end of the year tax settlement
No.
portion.
No. That's October's.
October's receipts.
October settlement.
Okay, so there is light at the end of the tunnel then.
Yeah, we talked to Hannah, the lady that you did the final settlement, and she is going to be willing to do that again this year. So we'll be getting with her. She'll be coming pretty soon, as soon as we get everything ready to start working on that.
Nice. Susan, how you feeling about tax collections?
Well,
It was our current doesn't reflect as much as what it should have because of the mail system. So our first deposit into delinquent after our current shut off was over $2 million. So, but otherwise, I think it's pretty good.
Pretty much kind of on path.
About like always.
Good. In sending out all the printouts for the various funds on both revenues and expenditures, Kelly usually does us a bullet point deal, and she did again for today. And looking at the overall changes that people have been asking for, the collector and assessor, these are just bullet points. The collector and assessor are wanting to change the Leechville Manila clerk to chief deputy. And at this point, Susan, or Kelly has included those, that change in the raise and no raise columns. And the payroll split was changed to a 50-50 split in these budget numbers that we've got here. Still holding with that?
Yes.
And talking about maybe moving that to a chief deputy, that used to be a chief deputy, didn't it? Or
That's what Harley said. He's usually always done all the expense of that, of his budget. But since she's doing so much on the collector's end, I felt like it was only fair for us to take half of that.
And we only have one employee over there, correct?
Right,
And she rotates between Leechville and Manila.
that's correct.
Harley isn't here today. The assessor is wanting to move one of the appraisers, just one of the appraisers, to 40 hours per week. Pay for 20/80 hours is only included in the raise column. He didn't mention that to us the other day, did he?
He may have. It seems like he was saying that there's not enough time for him to do everything, and it seems vaguely familiar.
Any remarks, Kelly?
He just, wanted to see
And it's
it.
just one of them? From, what is it, 16.9?
To 2080.
The state has allowed us, as Quorum Court, a COLA, cost of living adjustment. We've incorporated that in the budget. And usually what we do is we figure the per diems just based on what it would take to make 24 meetings, thereabouts, and people max out, giving everybody the opportunity to make their max if they so choose. So that's been included in these numbers. The election coordinator has requested to work 40 hours a week in 2020. It's going to be an election year. Salary has been changed in both columns, and I've included insurance. Molly had the question, and we don't have them here today, but Molly had the question, will we move that back, and won't we move that back, I guess, to part-time in 2021?
That's what the election coordinator said. She said that
Okay.
if she could work 40 hours in 2020, she would be willing to go back down to what she is right now in 2021.
Okay.
She said that she felt like with it being an election year, plus getting all that new equipment, there was gonna be a lot of training and stuff that she had to do for the poll workers.
No, I think that makes sense. I think for 2020 that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. The Trump stuff. Is she not changing jobs in at the end of the year? Yeah,
Not that I know of. I mean,
She's already working another job.
that's what I thought.
Oh, I don't know then.
She's just agreed to kind of finish, isn't she gonna finish this year out, or is she just gonna try to do both, or do you know?
I think she's gonna try to do both because she's part-time over there.
Well, I think, comments, Judge, on,
That's the information I have.
I'm sure that she needs to be working 40 hours this year because we're gonna have school board elections, we've got the primaries coming up, then we'll have general elections, so,
Plus you said land and new equipment, everybody.
I hope.
Well, we better be trained by March, that's the primary, so if they're not trained by then, they're gonna be in trouble.
When's it coming?
He said next week, but I'm not sure.
Really? That'd be kinda cool.
Because they're picking up the old equipment this week.
Yeah? That sounds cool. We better have it trained.
Better
I need
have
all the
it.
votes I can get.
Yeah.
And financial management, Kelly's asked for a part-time helper. We've had one before and we've done away with it, but she's asked for a little bit more help, $12.50 an hour at 19.5 hours a week. Kelly, any comment there? You've talked to us about it before. Just need help?
Yeah, we used to have an extra person and we haven't had it since Lee, when did he left?
Yeah, 2 years.
She may not would have had to work on Veterans Day, she'd had some help.
Exactly. That's when I'm getting all those emails. Juvenile. Darryl, we got Darryl here today. This budget has not been discussed in the meeting. Darryl wanted to close the part-time slot that was paid out of 3031 and open a full-time secretary slot to be paid out of county general with a max annual salary of $24,000.
But now, that is set out 24,000, but that the money that paying out of the juvenile fund that pay for part-time, they won't let us pay for full-time out of it. But we're going to move that money we're using for it to pay for some of the county supplies that the county general's paying for already.
Uh-huh.
So it's really going to wind up being just a 14,000 reflection instead of a 24,000 reflection.
Well, we have to add, insurance for the full-time and all that?
They're not currently getting insurance and everything. So that's another 11,000 or so on top of that. Why are we going from part-time to full-time? Why do you feel the need?
Well, it was, the state passed a law, we have to do a structured assessment, the Savory assessment, and then the Macy assessment, Kraft assessment, and the OIA's assessment. Every time a kid comes in our office, we have to do the OIA's, Savory, OIA's, Kraft, and Macy. All right, but if it's a violent offense, we have to do a Savory, and it's mandated by law. That's like a 4-hour assessment from start to finish. We get out of doing some of those Savory assessment. If we choose to do a diversion, we can get out of doing that 4-hour assessment. But with that, if it's a felony, the prosecutor is the only one that can divert a felony. Misdemeanors we can. So with that extra time that we're having to spend, that would free up. That would be a secretary could do some petitions that we're doing, the affidavit for charges, the docket, subpoenas that I'm currently doing right now.
And is that did you put that in the budget or did you put that in the raises?
It's in both sides. In 1,0415, it includes that new person, and then 3031, it was taken out there. Yeah, it includes it in both.
Okay.
The public defender's also asking for a new position. Nobody wants new people.
I want one.
You got that started, Michael.
Now, I didn't start this ball rolling. I'm just reading down the list. Public defender John Bradley, his wife is his secretary and has been for a long time. Retired in January of 2020. Wants to replace her with a full-time secretary. No request on pay in particular, and it's not included in the budget. Have you spoken to Mr. Bradley?
No, I only have spoken to him through emails, and it seemed like to me that maybe he wanted to keep the salary the same, it's just increase the hours. Maryland's only working, I think, 25 hours a week. So I think he wanted to increase.
And we're paying her right now, correct?
Mhm.
Well, but wait, this year did she work? For some reason I didn't think she worked this year and he asked for the money to be
That
spent.
was a part-time investigator that he had. He had a slot for
Oh.
part-time investigator, and he had not filled that this whole year. So he was wanting to take that money and move it to buy office equipment, which, approved for him to do that. But for next year, I think he's wanting to increase the money for a secretary. He's afraid he can't find someone to replace her part-time. Find a good person that's only gonna work part-time.
Well, and then the recommendation from the Association of Counties is that we do not pay for salaries. Is that not correct?
In the defender's office and the prosecuting attorney's office.
That we can pay as much of the office expense. Do we get reimbursed or something? No, I'm making that up. Wishful thinking somewhere along the way. So, okay.
But you've not included anything in this budget in that, not even Maryland's pay?
Yeah,
You
nothing
didn't,
changed with
you
that.
did keep it straight across.
Yeah. Yeah, I just didn't add anything.
Well, I hate to say this at this point, but if we were ever going to change that, I think now would be the ideal time to change it, since his wife is going to retire and there's not anybody, he doesn't have anyone in that spot. I don't know how we would start paying a new person and then stop at a later date.
So what do you want to do?
Well, that
40 hours.
Well, as I'm sure I've said more than once, we have the increase in the insurance coming up. We have, everybody, we'd like to keep up with the Jessup. We would like to continue benefits, other types of benefits. And if we continue to increase our payroll and the number of people we have on it, it just seems less and less likely that we are going to be able to do that. So I'm certainly not suggesting we get rid of anyone, but
To add new positions, to keep adding more personnel on the payroll.
I just don't think that's a sound decision at this point.
Y'all want to chime in? Any of you other JPs?
I think try somebody at 25, and if he sees he's struggling, then add it later.
You mentioned the insurance. You put in, we were doing 12%, you bumped that to 15. Between the two of y'all, where are we on insurance?
They told me 22. That's the way I understood it.
Have you talked to Justice Nelson or anybody on the insurance committee?
Yeah, just briefly, and I told him kind of where we were at, and we might ought to start thinking. I also asked him if he was aware that this was an ERISA type policy, and he said he wasn't.
They never described it as that.
Yeah, it is. It's not under the ERISA rules as far as the state and the feds go, but it is certainly a self-funded. And we've had that before. It's been quite a few years ago, and it was a train wreck. And the county took a bath on all the medical bills. The reinsurer was in, you remember where the reinsurer was?
Yeah, it's high.
No, do you remember where they were located?
Oh, yeah.
It's Pango Pango. It's in the Samoan Islands. It's just about as far away as you can get.
But we had a local person that was fronting that.
That's true, yeah. And that was, yeah. So anyway,
And it cost the county dearly.
dearly. We paid every doctor visit, surgery, medicine. It come out of county general. It was a long time getting over it.
Yeah, we took care of the county employees, but it sure cost us.
And I'll add to it, there's also a mutiny going on with labor. Are you familiar with that?
No.
The key players that we deal with is Todd, which is they call him the TPA, the third party administrator. And then there is Tracy, and there's Michelle. Michelle's kind of director. Tracy is like a salesperson. Tracy and Sean, I think, is the other guy's name. And Todd is the was introduced as the TPA. So anyway, of Tracy, Sean, and Michelle, they are leaving because Leslie was approached to buy the company out by some group in Florida. And in the meantime, the salespeople were all going to get cut out. So they were going to make them, they were asking them to sign forms, this is coming from them to me, of no compete clauses, and I'm not guarantee you're going to get paid anything. So they had to get out. They formed their own entity. They've asked me to sign a, when you change brokers, which is a legal instrument, to see to it that they get their commissions, I assume. I have not signed it. I should have brought it here with me today to give to y'all. I'll get you a copy. I'll email one to everybody, and you can decide what you want.
So they're starting their own company? Be kind of like still an ERISA type situation?
That's the way I understand it. So let's see, where am I? So anyway, it goes on, and that's what I was described as 122%. Anyway, I don't.
Did they relate that back to our last year's losses?
They said that the way it was described to me, I think we paid him 1.8 million in premiums, and at the end of the third quarter, we exhausted all of those, and so they're projecting the fourth quarter to end up to be 1.21, which they may have some tables in there that I'm not familiar with the insurance industry, but comes out more like a 1.25 to me. So I don't know how they intend on recouping their losses and paying their administration fees, and then building enough into it for next year to make sure we're not sitting back here doing the same thing again. I don't know, but I urge Bill to maybe get a full service insurance company that operates under the insurance laws of the state, and I think he was all for it. I don't know where he is on it.
What is I'm done with the risk. What is the risk?
Means you're self-insured pretty much. In other words, you put the money into an account all year and then pay out the claims as they come in, and hopefully you've anticipated what those claims are going to be, and you'll have enough money to make it to the end of the year.
So if we've got, and the company we're dealing with is a risk company.
Well, they don't fall under ERISA laws, but the correct way to say is we're self-funded. But I mean, it means an ERISA. It's all in all, it's an ERISA policy.
See, I thought we were joining a big enough pool of other like entities.
Coalition.
Yeah.
A coalition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A coalition that would help buffer some.
You would think so, but I don't know how big that is. I don't know.
Well, they had several counties.
12 of them.
Yeah, it was several thousand, if I'm not mistaken. It was.
Well, but how do they do their math?
I know. That's what I don't know. This is a surprise.
And then how do we keep up? And how do and whose laws are they under if they aren't under ERISA?
The only reason we considered a change was because the last group that we were with was wanting to gut us, cut our throats. But we just had some tough years.
But then they backed out, didn't they, when they found out we was going to look around?
They dropped it. They come in with a 12% increase, and they dropped it, I think, to like an 8% increase. Am I correct? After they found out we was going to go with a different company, possibly. So they were willing to negotiate. This cat don't sound like he's willing to negotiate at all.
Not at 22%.
Well, and the fact that I think the thing still may be up for sale, and the other group is going another direction. I'm not sure when it shakes out what it looks like.
But if this is a risk group, they can just file bankruptcy basically, or just dissolve.
The last group, we never did it. They just
Disappeared.
vanished.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We could end up getting stuck. I mean,
Again.
so I think, I know Kelly has contacted Stevens Group, right, to see about. So,
Well, I did that because I was told to do that.
well, I want you to keep calling them, please. Try to get us something so we can figure out something. We
Have you
can't
talked to
pass a
Justice
22% increase. We can't absorb it,
Justice
and we
Nelson
can't
did.
pass it on to employees. That's the way I feel. We need to do something.
Did Justice Nelson mention anybody else or shopping anybody else or?
He told me to change it to from 12 to 15%, he told me to contact Stevens to, get us quotes.
We might have to
And then he
just-
told me to send
until we
Katie
figure
at
out
the
something.
Municipal Health Benefit Fund all of our information. And I did all that.
I know Justice Ash was talking about that municipal benefit fund. I don't know anything about it other than what,
But I do know, because I was in the private sector, this time last year, and it's tough, I mean, they go up all the time, whether you're using them or not. And, I mean, we're just in a difficult time with not only the industry, the insurance industry, but the medical industry, so. I don't think this is uncommon.
I just feel like we're being held ransom by this company, because I think they could have told us a definite.
Well, and here's some other strange things going on. If Todd is the TPA, and then I was trying to figure out how the whole thing works, and I said, well, is the money going, are the premiums being mailed to Les? Les Smith, LS. I said, no. And I said, well, where are they going? And they said they're going to Todd, which means if the premiums are being mailed to him, I don't see how he could be a third party. He sounded like to me he's the primary party. And then it was sounding like LS maybe did some of the management of or processing of the claims, and then the money moved like that. I was never really clear. And I talked to him till pretty late one evening.
Well, the last thing I remember is them sitting here saying they'd have something by November 1st, and we don't have nothing definite from them by November 1st.
I think because of all of this the
revolt.
internal shakeup.
I think we sure need to be dodging and ducking and heading somewhere else.
And I think we need to be looking for somewhere else hard and fast.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not on the finance committee, but did you said, you all did say that Mr. Brantley's wife is retiring?
Mr. Bradley's wife is retiring, yes.
Okay, if you do not fill that slot, he will just not have anybody.
That's correct. What Kelly has put in the budget at the moment is exactly what he has had in the past, is a 25-hour position. And Mr. Bradley is asking, could we move that to a 40-hour-a-week position? Because he's afraid that he might not be able to find a qualified person willing to work only 25 hours a week.
Okay, so that's up to the finance committee.
So, it's up to the quorum court.
I mean, the finance committee,
Well,
I know, and then you bring it to the quorum court, is that
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
Okay.
Well, but what we could certainly do is that maybe instead of paying his 40-hour, his secretary, we could certainly pay some additional office expenses or something like that, and then he could pay his own secretary. And that was the recommendation of the Association of the Counties, was for us to do that.
Well, what are you all gonna bring to the quorum court?
Well, I was hoping that we'd be a little bit further along today than we are, and I was hoping that we'd have everybody here today, and we don't.
Oh, well, I'm just.
No. But no, very reasonable question. Our next regular quorum court meeting, our Tuesday night meeting, is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, the 26th. Our next finance committee meeting, our normal monthly finance committee meeting, would be next Monday, the 18th. To bring business to the regular court meeting that next Tuesday. So hopefully we'll have a lot of these ironed out next Monday, and we'll all be back here again with a full quorum and maybe even more of our other court members, and hammer out what little differences we may like at that point in time, and have it ready to present at the regular finance committee meeting November 26th.
Okay.
Now that's hopes. Kelly, have you got, that sound
Yeah.
almost reasonable?
Yeah.
We could put it off till December. We have in the past had to put it off till December, just to mitigating circumstances, but we really like to have it presented in the November regular court meeting.
Okay.
So. Back to our insurance, Judge. What do we kind of leaning on Bill?
That's what, yes, I think we're waiting on him.
He'll be out of that, he'll be out of his funeral sometime after a while, a 2 o'clock funeral for Hayes. I didn't even realize Mr. Sullivan had passed away, till Bill told me. But I'll try to get a hold of him this afternoon and see what his intentions are.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not on that insurance committee, but they need to be moving.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, like rapidly.
right now.
Well, there's two of us here that are, and we're both saying the same thing. We do need to be moving rapidly, and I think we need to be looking at something that's gonna be more cost effective for the county. I mean,
I think the association's certainly a candidate, and then I would entertain Blue Cross Blue Shield again.
I love Blue Cross Blue Shield when we have them.
I don't think you can beat them.
Peggy, how about you? Did they ever fix your problems you were having with your husband and stuff?
Yeah.
Especially if they're having a company-wide shakeup. That makes you nervous.
Sir?
He said that he was satisfied with Blue Cross. Blue
That's who we
Shield.
had before we switched to the Cigna company.
Why did we switch?
Because Blue Cross and Blue Cross Blue Shield, the group come up and said we're going to pay a 12% increase. And so we found this other company, they came in and they was going to be a lot less expensive and supposedly a lot better. But now we've had them 1 year and they want to jump up 22%. Well, that's what the judge last heard. So they pretty much got us like over the fire right now because they know we're running out of time, the way I feel. And they're just taking advantage of us.
And you said Cigna? I'm not sure Cigna has anything to do with this. But I had seen the literature, and the way it was explained to me was, well, they use the same PPO type structuring as Cigna. But it sure looked like they had Cigna stuff put in the,
Well, Cigna's on the card.
I don't know how, I'm at a loss.
Yeah, that's my insurance card.
It says Cigna on it?
Mhm.
Yeah, you and that's where I get my medicine from, Cigna.
Yeah.
It's in your pocket.
Oh, and part of it was what it is.
So, you know,
That's another company. There's Cigna pays first, and then the other company pays second, and that's what a lot of the companies didn't know to bill the other company, and
It's like a layered
it,
insurance type.
and a lot of people were
I was
getting
being
letters
too.
talking about collections and stuff, and you got to call. And I mean, the other company, I mean, the Jenna girl over in South Haven has really helped you out if you call her and stuff, but
You gotta stay right on it.
But you gotta call, and you better, you know, I had to fax her every one of my bills.
I've got it.
And, cause they were, I mean, I was getting letters from everybody, even the county hospital, which is in network, and we should be no deductible there.
I'm glad I kept my own.
I'll get hold of Bill and see if I can't pump him up on YouTube.
Well,
and
I
I'll get
really,
together.
I mean, it's gonna be a big deciding factor for the
Well,
budget. I mean,
until this other company comes back and answers Kelly's call, I mean, we can't, I mean, you know, Bill, what can the bill do? I mean,
Well,
but we got to find somebody to do something.
was Municipal League gonna get back to you, or?
Yeah, she said she was.
you know, I
The
mean. and I-
LS is supposed to be sending us the most updated claims that they've received and they've paid to date, but they haven't sent that to me, so I can't, until I get that, I can't send it to Municipal or Stevens. Now, Stevens had some of our past history because we weren't with them.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm still waiting to get our most recent.
And they're probably dragging their feet because they don't want us to switch.
Well, that's what Stevens did last year. They refused to help me get any information.
It's around, but I kept mine with them.
and so it's hard to shop if we don't have any of the information, isn't it?
Yeah, they
Just
can't,
can't do anything.
They won't quote you
Yeah.
unless they've got it.
It's got us stalled on the whole budget process, because if we gotta do 22%, that's $450,000 increase. $450,000. $1,000 raise per employee is only $200. If we have to do a 22% increase, I don't see any way to give any kind of raise, if we're gonna keep paying 100%.
That's right. And we're gonna keep
Most of the
adding
employees rather pay,
And if we're gonna keep adding people.
most of the employees I've talked to rather forget to raise and have the insurance paid.
Well, Yeah, I mean, you know, if you're on an income and you know what you're making, but if you you get somebody a raise and then you turn around,
Take half
their
of
raise
that.
doesn't even, well, even more than half, the raise doesn't even cover the increase that we will make. I think we need to figure out something to cover the insurance like we always have. I mean, and most of the county employees don't make a lot of money, in my opinion, and passing on any kind of, anything that would cause them to have to pay more is not right, in my opinion.
A lot of them are single.
Oh, I'm
Well,
not
and it's-
disagreeing at all.
Especially if you did like, everyone paid 15%, and that 15% is gonna be different for every employee, because everybody's kind of making something different, so there's, you know, so people that are making, you know, less money, it's a huge
Gonna hit them
number.
harder.
Yeah, and so I agree with you, it'd be nice, and that's why I said I'd love to keep the same benefits that we've always had.
Our insurance, correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly, I think our insurance is costing like $94.27 a person, $9,427 a
This
year
year.
a person. So the 15% increase that she's added in at Bill Nelson's request is $120 a month, $1,400 more. So just that increase would make it right at $11,000 an employee, almost $1,000 a month per employee. An increase of, like I say, $122, $120 a month.
That's high.
Roughly 200 employees. You're supposed to wave a magic wand.
We should have been doing some shopping beforehand, before this company, but he come in and surprised us with, and he was talking 12% increase, and now he's at 22.
And actually, they mentioned a little bit higher, didn't they, Judge?
22 is the highest I heard.
Was it?
Somebody needs to call that guy and get him over here. We need to sit him right there in that chair and ask him some questions.
I don't know that, even if we got him down to 12%, do we want to stay with this type of plan?
I don't know.
That's what I'm worried about.
I mean, the judge has
No, I
reasonable
agree.
concerns.
Yeah.
They can fold up.
He and I both suffered on that
I see,
deal when we made up the employee bills. I think, wasn't McGuire judge in?
Yeah.
So, all right, couple other, we beat that dog for a little bit. Couple other things.
Make it hard.
The sheriff has called Kelly since our last meeting, since he was here, and made a couple of changes. Justice Jackson has kind of commented on one of them. He's increased his food budget by 15% from $184,000 to $210,000. So, and then she changed, he had her change, and she did their medical policy at the jail from Great River Medical to Turnkey Health. That's been made in the budget. Wasn't any other really big ones as far as the sheriff was concerned, was it? So, where are we at? When you look at the revenues that you projected, Kelly, and you go to the very last page, page 74, where it shows budgets revised and budgets requested, the very bottom numbers. You know, we're only allowed to appropriate up to 90% in most funds except for special revenues. Have you included taking that out?
Mm-hmm.
You have not. So we've got to reduce some of this
County General.
in county general. So what's the difference in revised and request on the budget numbers? There's not a lot of difference, but a little bit. A couple hundred thousand.
Well, revised is 2019. And so the 2020 request
Is what we've actually projected, but then we got to reduce the county general by 10% in this.
I just don't want to do that until we get final numbers, because, you know, if there's anything that you want me to change, I would rather do that before you take the 10% off.
Okay. All right, but then you get down and you compare, go to the last page on the expenditure page, just to get generalities again. So our 2020 requests show us at $24,094,019. $24,094,000. So just say 24 million. And then on the expenditure request, it's showing $23,951,678. That's number to number without raises. Really close.
Yeah, there's several funds that we're going to be able to include CD balances or carryover balances, but then there's some that we're not gonna be able to make it without cutting expenditures, so.
Everybody, I'm sure, remembers in the general budget process, we can only budget 90% of county general. We can budget 100% special revenues. And then once we make those cuts, that 10% cut, we can go back in like with county general where we've got a reserve CD and we can add that back in as revenues. The risk that you run when we do that is if we spend more money than we actually anticipate taking in, then it's going to reduce our revenues in this next year. And if that is a carryover process, rather than continue our growth that we've seen the last 2 years, we'll be eating it up a can at a time until there is none left. Again, adding more people, increasing payroll, etc., and it would be unsustainable as far as raises are concerned and keeping us up. We're finally up in the Jessup program. I mean, we finally have gotten there. Where are we? We're about even. Can we make the budget? Yeah, we can add in our $3 million reserve and make the budget, even after we take out the 10% on county general. Do we want to trim down and tighten up just a little bit?
Well, and that's with the hope that at the 15% insurance.
Exactly.
I mean, if we bump up to 22 or something, that's.
Kelly, do you think we'll have any kind of answers on insurance at all by next Monday?
I sure hope so.
Judge, what would you like to see?
I don't think we'll have any answers unless we get somebody else in here. What would I like to see? I'd like to know what Blue Cross Blue Shield numbers would be.
I would too.
And I'd like to know what the association has to offer. And I've never heard of the municipal league, crossing over, but there's something there.
Now, strictly third hand coming from Justice Ash. Now, not that I'm doubting Justice Ash, but I just want to qualify that I haven't been told myself. But Justice Ash said there were a few counties that were already joining in that municipal league fund. I don't know which ones or how many. He just said some. So, I mean, I think that's some of the insurance that he's using.
Well, that'd be 3 right there, to look at that'd be readily available. So, yeah, I think we need to make the phone call and set it up, expedite it.
I agree.
You good with that, Kelly?
Good with what?
Okay.
I'm
So,
trying to do minutes and.
yeah,
And I think but she's already said she can't really do much because we don't have the information to give to them, so there's no way they can really quote it.
I will call, LS back and see what the status is on getting our claims numbers, but
Well, and he
and
pretty
I can
much
let
had
you
his,
know.
our claim numbers when he was here in the insurance.
he had a lot of the, claimant information. They're wanting all claims,
Okay.
year to date.
But it can't be that hard. They gotta have that readily accessible on a computer. I mean, that's, whether they're willing to give it to us is not, like I said, I feel like we're being held ransom by them. But, because they don't want us to find somebody else.
don't want to shop it.
So that's why I feel like they're stonewalling Kelly. But yeah, the judge said he'd like to check with the municipal league too and see if there's a chance that we could,
Blue Cross Blue Shield.
well, that would be,
Is Blue Cross Blue
Stevens.
Shield and Stevens the same thing?
No, Stevens is a broker, just like LS is a broker. LS can quote us Blue Cross and Blue Shield just like anybody can. And they were told to, so I don't know if they're working on that or not, but.
But they have been asked to give us a Blue Cross Blue Shield quote.
We were with the last meeting where he talked for 2 hours and me and Molly was holding our head in our hand, but anyway, he was asked then to give us a quote from Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
Honestly, that's who I trust the best. That's who I'm most
I
comfortable
think
with.
he wants to, but he's got something to do with Cigna. There's something, he's tied to that
Well, I
somehow.
think
or
it's a, again, it's kind of like what you were saying, it's a, kind of a little bit of a layered type insurance that's not,
I mean, he's the one that come in and sold us Cigna.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't try to sell us anything else but Cigna. So I mean, I feel like he's tied to that company. He's not just a
Well,
broker.
maybe his percentages.
Now, Stevens is
are
a
better.
broker, and that's who Kelly's trying to go through now, but to get a quote from Blue Cross Blue Shield.
They've got a couple of people in there that are just really hard to work with in that brokerage firm and that Stevens firm that are just in general uncooperative and have been for a long time.
Who did the county have it with last year? Who was the broker?
It was Stevens.
And it was Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
And there's a lady in there that's just obstinate.
What do they pay off pretty good? Are they
Yeah.
fine?
Yeah.
It's just the dealing with them on the front end?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, claims were played fine. We had less complaints then than we'd had from some of these others, and particularly than we've had with this one.
And Blue Cross Blue Shield has like Health Advantage too, that's like
It does.
a little bit less expensive than so much as Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's just, there's other options there. There's higher deductibles and a lot of different things, a lot of different plans that an employee could choose,
and that may be something for the future really to look at.
I mean, a single employee that's 25 years old, he don't need a $500 deductible because chances are he's not going to be,
That's right.
in the hospital for knee surgery, in the hospital. And if he is, it's an accident. He's had an accident. He's not, most time. I know when I was 25 years old, all I had was hospitalization because I wasn't worried about nothing because I thought I was invincible,
Are you worried now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I am. I've got several insurance companies.
Well, I guess where we're at now then is just trying to gather up as much insurance information as we can get as rapidly as we can get
Because
it.
we're close, so that will make a big difference.
It could make a big swing either way and tell us if we need to make some of these bigger cuts. One of the things that the sheriff did ask for, and we've left in there at the moment, is he's asking for 12 cars. I'd really like to see that stay if we can. His reasoning was honorable in that. But that is one thing we could cut if we had to, but I'd really like to do that for this one time and then let him play catch up if possible.
He just got some vehicles in, or those from this past year's budget. I mean, I don't even know how many. I just know some of the guys are driving new trucks.
Yeah, he'd been spacing them out, and then some of them just weren't available when he ordered them this summer.
Right.
I did notice when I was looking, there is still some money left in this year's budget for new vehicles, so
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's what that is.
Yeah, they just haven't been.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it takes a
available.
while. If you order a
Yeah.
vehicle especially from a government contract, it could take 6 months to get it sometimes.
We'll try to get together next Monday and maybe have you a little more concrete and a little better answers. We'll try to work hard on insurance. I'll Bill to get with y'all. And,
And I agree with you. I want the sheriff's department to have the cars they need. I want them to be new and safe. I would like to leave that in as well.
completely different subject. Where are we on the courthouse?
We're moving along. We ain't got enough time here. I don't think y'all want to sit and talk about all of it, but I was going to bring this up. I hired us a gentleman to watch everything, and this is his letter. I got this today. He monitors construction for compliance with contract requirements, safety, quality, schedule, performance, contingency management. Anyway, I've got this stuff. It's a QC guy that's been in construction all his life, moved over into this phase, and he's just going to watch out for us. We had the bids Tuesday, And you know, that, after this is 10 months worth of work, and then it hit me the weekend before that what the bids would be, and what would happen if nobody showed up, or if everybody showed up and there's $4 or $5 million more than what we had budgeted. And so there was a lot of anxiety, sleepless nights there for a while, but we had priced every single nail, every single piece of sheetrock. We researched all of it, built in some contingency off that, knew what it was going to cost. And so, and then on top of all that, everything in this project, not everything, but there's a whole lot of wish list stuff in it. The landscaping, the inside, there's a lot of inside work that's really over the top. It's going to make it a real show place. And so I'm figuring that the figure's going to have to be right at $12 million to make the thing work. And so we started opening up the bids, and the low bidder is $11,098,000. So we're about $833,000 lower than the next bid. So while I'm celebrating, you know, that's, I don't know if it's a good thing or not.
Scary.
Yeah, because, you know, the low bid, you let it now, and then they can't build it. So that's where we are. So we are clarifying. There's some provisions in the bid instructions that will allow us to sign. I'm going to sign a letter of intent to bid, and then bring them to the table and ask them specifically about the cost per nail and sheetrock and how many they plan on having. And we won't go through the whole scope of work, but we'll hit enough of the high places that will, because, and we had it built in at 3.5% to 4%, which is common profit in the construction business. And so it looked to me like that they was going to work for free. So, which I know they're not going to. So, which is a good thing to have someone like this. I'd already had him in place. I haven't signed the contract yet. And by the way, his cost is, well, I don't have it here, but I'm thinking it's like $100,000. But I'm thinking that on a $12 million plus contract, I think that's maybe good money spent.
Are they still intending to more or less gut the old building just like they intended in the beginning? I mean, what they talked about the only thing standing would be those center walls that ran east to west.
That's right.
And all those side walls would be gone. That's still pretty much our intent.
Well, everything that's concrete is going to stay, and the doors will stay. Do what? The marble will stay. All of the ceilings, you know, all of this is going to be taken out. All that wood in the judge's office, that paneling is going to come out. I don't know if every pipe will come out, but they won't be used.
The floor stays, right? And
The what?
The floor in the old, or in the existing courthouse, that stays, doesn't it?
The floor, did you say?
Mm-hmm. Tile, that quarry tile.
Oh yes, yeah. The floor that stays until you get to the third floor courtroom.
Right.
And it'll be different.
Yep.
So, but like I said, it's going to be nice. We've just got to, and we're in a good position right now. We've just got to stay there and make sure that it follows through.
What's the next step?
We're going to sign the letter of intent. We're going to have a sit down and go over the details and make sure, you know, in some of those bid sheet instructions, that allows us to kind of really get on the same page with them, because I don't think they want to come into it not making any money. So we're all going to be, you know, on equal footing here. So that's what we'll do next, and I think we'll get a satisfactory answer there, because I mean, you're not going to let them change the bid, or it's not fair to the next person, which was Alyssa Keys. So,
That's right.
So that's what we'll do, and I think that'll go relatively quick. I think we'll have a GC in a week, and then we are already moving forward on the landfill, the two there, so they're ready to go to work. I talked to JT this morning. He and I have both been looking for sources to pump that water out of the cell. We've got about 6 foot of water on 6 acres of land. You don't know anybody with a Camelback, do you?
I don't.
And so we're looking for one of those. The engine the outfit that I found that would work, they're about $40,000. And landfill and road department need one, but I don't know if we need one
That bad?
that bad. But to rent one is $4,000 a week. So, but we need that water out of there, and it's not coming right now. And so,
That time of year too.
yes, it's that time of year. But you know, and it's also a lot of money, and we're running out of space. So we're gonna have to get rid of that water.
What about the roof in Osceola? When are they gonna start?
The roof deal is done. We've got the construction company there. I mean, already in place. It's been signed. Where are we on it? I think there is a pre-construction meeting already set, and I'll get you all the dates. It's just everything going so fast here lately. And
Are you getting to the point where you can kind of include I'm not on it, but include the Energy and Property Committee in on the courthouse project some?
I wish you'd be in on the courthouse project a bunch.
I'm not on the committee.
Whoever's on
That's
there.
Molly's committee.
She gets
That's
CC'd on all that.
No, we did that on purpose.
Y'all can
Yeah,
be big a part of it as you want to be, and I would welcome you to be, because there's plenty to do. I'll move on while we're talking about money and everything being, I finally got the Centos information for the high vis for the road department and
Oh, yeah.
the landfill. And I think the numbers I worked up is gonna be about, I think it's gonna be $17,000, 17 something, let's say 17.5. I don't know what we've been paying for in the past, but I'm sure it's higher. But they were outrageously high for about a month, and then they found something and they've reduced. I'll get the numbers there. I don't have the totals here. Told you about Porter Brownlee, the QC guy that's going to watch the.
And Aaron knows him, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Aaron had recommended or has worked with him in the past.
We
as
need
well.
to revisit the
Yeah.
custodians' pay. It was Kelly had sent something to the judge's office about change order in salaries.
Hours, when you're talking about the 32 to 40 hour change, is that what you're referring to?
Kelly's one. Kelly'd be more informed on it than I would.
Well, I'm not sure what you're talking about that I sent up there.
Well, I was told that it was that you're gonna have to reduce the salary maximums from 23.5 to 19 something.
Well, Leslie may want to talk about this. She does payroll, but the ordinance that was approved for the janitors said 23,834, I believe, for 2080 annual hours. They're not working that. So we had to reduce it and just pay them for the 1690 annual hours. But I think there was a confusion, and Leslie, you may want to explain it, but the hourly rate wasn't put in payroll correctly. So that's what was changed last week, or what needed to be changed last week.
Because of the difference in the 2080 and the 1690? You just took that 19.5 and made the adjustment there?
Well, I think the problem was, Leslie is she was just used to paying everybody based on courthouse hours.
Mhm.
She wasn't in a meeting that explained anything about the 2080. I think original paperwork she filled out herself and had the judge sign it, and it was the 23,834 with an hourly rate based on 2080 or 1690.
Oh, so
So
it
the
made your hourly rate too
was
high.
High.
Yeah.
Oh,
Then
okay.
they came back and said, well, they're not working 2080, they're gonna work 1690. So then she changed it to reflect that. Then they came back and said, no, we want them to be able to work whatever they want, And so we're having to hand key hours in. So all she has in there is just an hourly rate. That hourly rate is wrong because it was based on something that she did earlier.
Is it
On the
fixed?
2080.
It's fixed now? Is anybody happy?
Well, that's why I fixed the change form and took to the judge, and that's, that's where we're at on that. He wanted to be clear on that, before he signed it.
One of them has been calling me numerous times lately, and I just have. Did you do that to me?
I didn't do it, but I know she's done it.
Well, I talked to her from Istanbul, Turkey one day and told her I'd try to get back with her when I got back, but it's just been really busy.
So-
And
But here's my thing with that. So Annie doesn't work. She only works 32.5 hours a week. So, and she already makes more than Mr. Rice is gonna make when they drop his salary down. And he's working the same hours. How's that gonna work?
she told me she was making less.
She's not making less than Mr. Rice. She's making less than Benny, who's at Blyville. And
Her brother.
So does she have a legitimate complaint in your opinion?
well, it depends because I was under the understanding that, and apparently it was a misunderstanding, that Mr. Rice was gonna make 23,000 as well, make the same thing as Benny.
All these
And
are
that
his
Benny was-
employees.
Okay, and that Benny was only gonna get paid extra for the hours that he comes in, because the judge mentioned that he comes in early in the mornings.
He does.
And that he was gonna get paid
I-
extra for that, but I thought all of them were gonna start, have a salary of 23,000.
That's the way I understood it, and then that's at 40 hours. And so if they did not, they wanted to make the same courthouse hours as the employees, they'd be making the same dollar amount per hour, but they wouldn't hit that top salary. Is that right?
What it sounded like.
Yeah, that sounds,
They were gonna give it the option to work 40 or not work 40. That's what we decided to do.
Right.
It was their decision to work 40 or not work 40. And if they didn't work 40, they wouldn't make the maximum salary.
that's right.
But if they wanted to work the same courthouse hours that everybody in the courthouse worked, they could. But just like Benny has always gotten there early. So he would be given, if he wanted, to come in at 5 o'clock in the morning, come in at 5 o'clock or whatever. And,
I think where or if I'm not mistaken, the problem came in, so you were having to hand key the hours every week. So at some point they needed to decide how many hours they were going to work. Like they couldn't change it up every week.
yeah, I think that's a good idea too.
And they're right.
But you're still gonna have the problem of, are you gonna drop Annie's salary down?
No, all of them's the
Well,
same.
plan
It's all the way
is-
across. All of them are topped out at that 23 something.
But that's only if they work 40 hours.
Okay, again, I say, are you gonna drop Annie's salary down? She doesn't work 40 hours.
No, her
And
her pay will be, her hourly pay will be the same as theirs.
She'll just work fewer hours.
Fewer hours.
So in that case, then Mr. Rice needs to be brought back up.
They're all gonna be paid the same dollar amount per hour.
But that
Are they
change
now?
form says that he's going to be making less than, am I correct, Leslie?
Are all of them being paid the same hourly rate, all the janitors,
They have been being,
based on a 40-hour work week?
but that's been a mistake. Right?
Well,
The janitors were just Benny and Annie. They were never at the same salary or the same hourly rate. Then there was 2 new janitors hired this year. They were hired in at the same rate, those 2 together, at the $23,834 for 40 hours a week,
What is that hourly pay?
$11.46. And $11.46 is less per hour than Annie or Benny make per
So what do we need to do? What would you like to do? They're like, again, they're your 4 employees. You want them levelized?
Your finance.
What is Andy and Benny make?
I'm trying to make you happy though.
An hour.
Well, Benny had been here a
What would you like to see in your department? I'm not being ugly at all.
I would
Benny-
think that they
Benny
all
been
should
here
be
a
paid
lot
the same.
But Benny came
Contract
in
work.
day one making more than anybody ever made.
Who does?
Benny came in day one making more than anybody ever made before.
Paid by the state for a little, or,
No, that's the other guy.
That's the other
That was the guy that sell it.
The judge hired him in at the former janitor's pay, even though that person had been there 20-something years. So Benny came in making more than,
That was Judge Carney, wasn't it? So he came in making more than everybody else already.
Say again how much each one makes. Benny makes 14.
Benny makes 14.28, Annie's 12.13, Mr. Rice and Terrell are at 11.46.
Has Benny been here longer than Annie, or Annie been here longer than Benny?
Benny came in like a year before, is that right?
I'm not sure. I
About
was
a year
thinking
before.
Annie was here before. I can look up if
Do they all do basically?
She was here before him because she came in first as a workforce employee, and she worked, and then they hired her permanently, and that was before Benny came in.
Where do they fall in Jessup? I mean, it should be our guideline to go by.
Benny's,
Annie was here in 2015, Benny came in 17.
I don't have that just.
The J side, that's where the
Where we
salaries
going?
came from for James Rice and Terrell. The midpoint was 23,834, but that's based on 2080. You know, that's based on 40 hours a week.
So that 23,834. So the midpoint is at 11.45 an hour roughly.
Yeah,
That's midpoint.
That's what they're supposed to
And
be
that's
at,
what we paid
11.46.
the last two. Put them at midpoint.
if they
I remember
work
that
40.
now.
And Benny's above midpoint, probably in the 4th quartile, if I remember right.
And so is Annie.
Well, I don't see
Miss Annie
bringing,
would be in the 3rd quartile.
I don't see bringing anybody down. That was never my intention.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either.
So,
And we've already got the other two at midpoint, so where's our gripes then?
Well, Mr. Rice has been making that higher salary, and he's gonna go down now.
He's been making which higher salary?
Because they were paying him at the higher rate, isn't that correct? So
But
his,
that was a mistake, wasn't it?
Right, we were paying him at 14.10, but then he lowered his hours, I think, to 6.5, which they changed, bi-weekly.
Well, that really didn't have anything to do with it. The 1410 was based on the 23,834 at 1690 hours.
Okay.
Okay, well then that just was never changed to the 1146 when it should have been. Yeah.
I say just let's get them right, and then we won't ask for any money back, you know, so.
I'd like to get it fixed, and I'd like to be fair with everybody.
Yeah,
Uh,
Well, it's gonna need to go to personnel first, isn't it? Or is it? I mean, it may
It's
not
just a
need.
salary issue, it's not a change in slots.
Yeah.
So,
How long has he been being paid the higher rate?
since he started,
Terrell started August 29th, Mr. Rice started July the 1st.
So,
you talking about Benny?
Now, at first, you know, they were turning in 40 hours, so,
Well, I think the judge was using them 40 hours too, though, weren't you, out there in the
yeah.
in the move and getting the place ready?
Yes.
But now then, they're not needed that many hours.
Well, like I said, we had already said they could work 40 if they wanted to.
no, that's what I would think. I mean, it's our mistake. Obviously we shouldn't ask for the money back, but we need to fix it.
So what's fixing it?
Adjusting it back to,
11:44 or 11:45?
yeah. I mean, that's what it should have been all along. And it was just our mistake that we paid him more. It was never agreed to pay him that much.
That's just a windfall.
Are you okay? It's all right with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
well, not that I have anything to do with it, but I'm not,
Why?
because Mr. Rice will be making less than Annie.
But Annie's been there longer, hasn't she?
Yeah, but he shouldn't be making that much less than her.
$1 an hour?
It's not $1 even, is it?
I don't know.
When
What
she's
is it?
12.14,
She's 12.13 and he's gonna be 11.46.
so 70 cents an hour.
We'll give her the 70 cents.
Give her,
Give him the 70 cents.
we would have to give the other one the same thing.
Give him 70 cents too.
You go,
That's a raise.
You gotta have some kind of consistency with this thing. Yeah.
Can't do nothing today because you don't have the quorum.
That's right.
I mean,
Oh, there you go.
Thank you, Justice.
Y'all are dismissed.
I think we'll consider it and we'll be back here next week.
Okay. We want it right, we want to be fair, but Miss Annie has been working longer than Mr. Rice.
So Mr.
And
Rice.
he got a windfall for a little bit that was our mistake, and shame on us, basically.
But that's just was a bonus. They don't have to pay it back.
That's right, I mean,
And this has really nothing to do with the money, and I don't want to confuse it and make it sound like it does, but everybody brags on Mr. Rice over there, and if people are coming and going, when I come by there, it's rarely that I don't see him painting something that's not moving, and, he's pretty busy, and we're very fortunate to have him, as well as Terrell, as well as Benny, as well as Annie, but I think we can certainly come up with something that's fair that, we'll do that before we make this budget.
Okay.
One other thing.
Yes, sir.
We've exhausted 3 days solid for our county attorney that we've got on retainer. Who's doing dispositions in the Bryan class action. And so he had approached me this morning. We had a meeting about something entirely different. And he wanted to know where it would go if on cases like this where there was large amounts of time that was devoted to county work and in the way of overages from just the retained fee that we pay him a month. Where is the line?
Yeah. What is our retainer? It's not that much, 12,000?
I think it's
How much?
16.
16,000.
That's about 10 times worth more than any lawyer. Don't put that in the paper, does it?
No, but it just went on video.
oh, yeah.
Well, I stand by it.
Oh, there's a line.
Has he got a request?
no.
He'd just kind of like to know what we're thinking. I really hadn't thought about that.
Well, Dan was paid more in times that he worked.
He was.
So, and I really don't think we had a formula that we went by, and I
We
don't
didn't.
necessarily think we ought to have one now.
We always just trusted Dan, and Dan was always fair with us.
That's right. I'll talk to Dan, and then I'll talk to Jeremy.
Okay.
And that's basically what he's gonna have to tell us too. He's gonna have to tell us because he knows what his time is worth and, and just see if we can work out something.
I'll talk to him.
We certainly don't expect him to work for nothing.
No. And this is very unusual, this class action that's going on. They have asked for a summary judgment, and hopefully something will come back by March.
Slow. Kelly, you got anything else, dear? Peggy?
That's something you might ought to think about though, because we may be end up paying a lawsuit.
Yeah. There's a possibility there. Susan? You got
more
anything
money.
else? Judge, you got anything else to say? We'll come back Monday. I think everybody's well aware. The filing period closed about 2 hours ago with a little encouragement. At least 6 of us have opposition in this race. So, could be an interesting election year.
And what's to attribute to all of that?
Like I say, a little encouragement goes a long way sometimes.
eating peanut butter and jelly and riding my husband's truck.
Miss Hinton said she'd sell that make coat lead over there and try to help out the county general.
No, anybody want to buy my new car?
So you got a car to sell?
Four of us in here and then two more that I know of, and I haven't checked in the last week.
How many did you say opposed?
At least 6 out of 11 of us.
Oh, it's gonna be interesting.
1, 2, no, at least 7.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
7.
Out of the 11.
1, 2,
Me, you,
Three.
Mr. Clay, Miss Hinton,
4. Belcher.
Belcher,
4.
Nelson.
Fred,
Don't have.
Fred,
Oh, I
And
forgot
Nelson.
Fred.
and Nelson.
7.
Yep, 7.
Oh, it's gonna be very interesting.
Betty and Molly.
Who filed against, who filed
Betty and Molly, are y'all sick?
who filed against Molly today? Who'd you tell me? Oh, you,
Sarah.
Rick Trump, yes.
Sarah, who?
We're aggravated, Molly.
I filed.
Didn't ask me if I filed.
Guys, we'll call adjourned. Thank you.
So y'all just make this looking like